Okay, good evening. The second half of our lesson is cross hatching, and we're about to cross hatch the measuring cup. So as always, you make sure you have your tools ready. Our first drawing was with hatching, which is the shading technique where you show light and shadow on the form using a set of parallel lines. Now we're using cross hatching where you show light and shadow on a form by shading using cross hatching lines or lines that cross one another. So we're going to take the measuring cup now and we're going to start to cross hatch that using our lines. We're going to look for the darker values, the darker areas. Notice in this case the light is hitting on this side and it's bouncing onto this side. So the inside on here is dark, so it gives the illusion of depth. And then the light is hitting on this side of the object and then here. And then we have a shadow that's working off of the object and it's coming all the way over around on this side. It's coming from the bottom and it's going over there. And then of course the handle itself is creating a shadow, and that shadow is working in here. And then of course it has even the portion that has the hole in the handle. But right now let's get started. So the shadow is working in here. So right now I'm going to take my starting out with my hatching lines in this area, and then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to cross my lines on the top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead with the roundness, and I'm seeing that this is the darker area. I'm going to start this area, like I said before, with my hatching lines. And then of course this is a cross hatch exercise. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cross my lines on the top of my hatching lines. Now in the area that is dark, I'm going to put my lines a little closer together. I don't know if you could see it well, but in the area that is dark, I'm going to put my lines close together. And I'm going to come in here. Remember now, lines are variation. You can have thick lines, you can have thin lines. So in the areas that I want my darkness to be shown, I am going to put my lines closer together, but I'm also going to make them thinner and thicker. So right in here, I'm going to make my lines thin. And then I'm going to cross over it as it goes into the light. I'm going to lighten up that area. So that's going to give you the illusion that you can go inside this form, but remembering now that even though you can go inside the form, that you can that you have the illusion of depth, okay? And then you can show your dark and light value. This side of the form is dark, so even the light is hitting that side. So I'm going to come with my dark values on this side, and I'm going to take my lines in the shape of the form, and then seeing that the shape of the form is going this direction, I'm just going to go down here with my lines going this way. Then as they get lighter, I'm going to space them up. So it's going to take some time. You can get them thin, you can get them thick. It depends on what is appropriate for that particular area. Okay, so now that I'm getting into the light, in the lighted part of the object, I'm going to work my way a little further over. Then I'm going to make my lines a little more spaced out. And the same thing with the shadow, like we did before. So if we're in the shadow area, as I get under the form, I'm going to get a thick lines going in under there. And as I get on the side, I'm going to get my thick lines going. Just going to do a small section. And then I'm going to cross over the top of them to create my shadow. So I'm going to keep going because I'm going to crisscross over them. So I'm going to be crisscrossing in the area of my shadow, and I'll keep going up to the top. And then of course, as it's closer to the form, as it goes away from I'll get it closer together. And then my midtones, and space them out as I come to the edge of the shadow. So I can go in here and work this a little more. Gonna get it thicker. Remember now, this is the shadow, so I want to give you the idea that this is darker than the actual form itself. So I'm going to add some more thicker lines up in there. So you can see the difference. You can see the different variation where the shadow meets the object itself. And then I will continue to shade. So you're going to continue to shade both objects until it's totally finished. And then you would have this assignment done. So the first part of the assignment is the hatching. The second part is the cross hatching.